Let me just switch on the camera, and here we are. Welcome to another episode or another module, no episode of this Fitness Warrior Playbook. We're gonna biohack your fitness both mentally and physically. And today we're gonna talk about Resilience Dojo. Right? Let me just switch over to the slide so you can have a look at. Not this one. This one. All right, here we go. Resilience Dojo. We're going to show you how you can build this mental and physical resilience in a dedicated way. And that's what a dojo is. A dojo is a Japanese martial art training ground where you go in as a student, you enter your dojo, you get trained. You get trained in the skills of the art. Here, we're going to train you in resilience. But this requires dedication. This is not something you do on the side. It's not unlike the last resilience module where we talk about how you can build resilience on the go, where you don't need to do a dedicated session. This is one where you're deliberately and consciously focusing completely on just building your resilience. And as an executive warrior, as an entrepreneur or founder, you understand that resilience is basically your capacity to tolerate success. With greater success, it means that you've got more things to deal with. You've got more challenges. There's more problems. There's more money. There's more people you got to manage. And that creates a challenge to us and our capacity to handle more, to be more. That is the resilience. That's what we're building. We're using that to build your capacity to be a bigger container, to take on greater challenges without getting crushed by the weight of that expectation, of that, the demands for time, the problems that can arise and the stress that can come. This is going to build you to take you to that next level. All right, let's go back to the slide. So that is today's module, resilience. What would you discover today? You're going to discover what makes a dedicated principle or protocol, resilience protocol. You will understand how to do it. I'll show you my dedicated resilience protocol. Rather than integrated, this is a dedicated session where you do need to make time for this, right? It's important. And of course, every single module, we're going to talk about taking action. What does it mean to implement today's lesson? I'm going to show you how you can take action. So what makes it dedicated? Why is this a little bit different? The criteria for a dedicated resilience training is that it's actually intentional. You have to plan for it. Going to the gym requires planning. Doing exercise, doing a workout requires planning. We know the importance of and the benefit of exercising. We know the benefit of building resilience. You can't just always do it on the side. On the side, there's a benefit to that, but it's a completely different game when you actually make time to focus completely on just building something, whether it's fitness, resilience, or any skill set. If you go and spend a dedicated session, it's going to be a different level of improvement. You're going to dedicate time to focus on training without distraction. So it's not on the go. You need persistence and practice. So what you do in this session, it's going to take time to get good at, but with persistence, you can master it. And lastly, this is something that you need to integrate into your life. Become part of who you are. Every great fighter, every great elite athlete, they go to training session. They don't do it on the side. It's not a side gig. They have to get into the dedicated session to get really good at. And that is what transforms them, right, to be the elite. So what is that protocol? What is the dedicated resilience protocol that I want to share with you? The first one, and this is why I share this as the first off the mark, because it's one of the most transformative resilience building exercise you can do. And that is cold exposure. A lot of people think oh, I mean, cold exposure is some wacky, crazy stuff that people do. I don't know, they just want to look cool. Well, there's a lot more to that. It is with cold, nothing trains the mind like cold. Nothing, it's the great revealer, right? Cold exposure, it's something that will just forces you to concentrate on where you are and be present. Nothing like cold just create that shock where you can't think of the past and present, and you just have to focus on now. So it's a great mental resilience training tool and develops grit in a way that's unlike any other tool. When you use this protocol, now cold exposure is not, there's many different ways of utilizing cold. It's not the same depending on what your goal is. When you use it for building mental resilience, it is not the same as using cold to burn more fat. Okay, so I want you to get into the nuance in some of these cold exposure therapy that you see on YouTube, on various social media. It's not, when you use it for mental toughness and mental training, it's a different protocol. When you go and want to create more brown fat to burn more calories over time, it's a different set. So beware that there is a difference to this particular protocol that I want to share with you. It will increase your energy and focus because remember I said this is a mental training tool, which means it will help you get more done. It will help you train your focus, your ability to focus. It will improve your immunity. You'll stop getting sick all the time. It will burn more fat, right? But the protocol I'm sharing with you is going to focus in on the mental aspect. So it's going to be a little bit different. You'll recover faster. You'll heal faster. It will help with recovery quicker. It will increase your motivation and drive for hours. And we're talking about a significant lift in your dopamine, which is your drive neuromodulator. It makes you want to go and get and conquer and achieve. And you will do that sustainably without a big drop. Unlike things like amphetamines and cocaine, those stimulants will get you really high, make you want to do a whole lot of stuff, but then give you a really bad low. And that is the problem with some of the stimulants as a bit of a nootropic effect. Those things will boost your motivation, but they're not sustainable. In fact, it will deprive you of enjoyment in every other aspect of life, so much so where getting more of the stuff become your goal rather than getting more out of life. And that's the definition of addiction, right? When you do cold exposure, you will get a same feeling of high. You will feel it, but it doesn't have the downside, which is the awesome aspect about cold exposure that very few people understand. When you do this, it will really be much more productive for the day. And that's why I suspect that's why Tony Robbins and a lot of elite entrepreneurs do the cold, because it just makes them feel awesome. It makes them feel bulletproof, warrior-like, ready to conquer the day, because that motivation and drive boost is incredible. Improves your mood. It's a great antidepressant. Which means it will enhance. There's a research to show that it's as effective as some prescription antidepressant drugs. So SSRI, a class of drugs used for reducing kind of mood disorders. This is going to improve your mood, which improves relationship. And don't you want better relationship with not just your family, but maybe at work? It's more productive when you have good relationships. So a whole host of benefit when you actually do cold exposure therapy. All right, so let me show you. There's a traditional way of doing cold exposure, and the result is really unpredictable. So this is not Like cold, some people think cold exposure is this new age, wacky protocol. It's actually ancient and it's centuries old tradition, right? In Scandinavia and Nordic countries, you do a sauna and you jump into cold water, right? And Russians and Slavic practice of banya or Russian bath also do the same thing. So it's not nothing new I'm talking about. What is new is that the traditional way isn't really about focus. They just feel good, so they do it. But the new way is the warrior way, like I call it. It's really kind of goal specific. The protocol is to produce repeatable and predictable results by following a particular prescribed process. If you want to lose fat, you have a protocol using cold. If you want to build mental resilience and toughness and improve immunity and mood, you have a different set of protocol. I'm going to share with you the one that's going to more focus on the mental side of things rather than fat loss. I'll share a fat loss protocol in the future module as part of you being part of my tribe. I'll continue to update and add new material, but this cold exposure focus is about resilience building, okay? So how long should you do this? Okay, cold exposure can be done in a number of ways, and I'll show you how you can progress and get started, but what you want to aim for is to do 11 to 15 minutes per week, right? Minimum of 1 minute per session, right? That's the duration of the cold therapy, but add up to about 11 to 15 minutes every week. The water or the cold, it should be enough to trigger this gasp reflex. Like, I don't know if you have jumped in a cold shower before, but you see, that reflex, right? Your breath rate should increase. You could start to shiver. It's mentally tough, as in it's unpleasant. The whole intent of this is not like, I love the cold. No, it's meant to feel crappy, right? It's meant to be unpleasant. But that's why you're doing it, right? That's the mental challenge. Otherwise, if it's pleasant, then might as well just take a hot bath, right? So it's meant to be challenging, but it needs to be safe enough for you to do for a few minutes. Again, if consult with your doctor, right? If you any new exercise routine or fitness routine, talk to your doctor about it, because the challenge was called, if it's too cold too quickly, you do have a risk. You create a risk of having a heart issue. You can faint. You can collapse. There are risks to this. So be careful. Cold enough to really be mentally challenging and physically challenging, but safe for a few minutes to do. Apply conscious breath control while in the cold. Look for stillness of the body and mind, and that's the mental aspect. When you're in that cold water, or it could be an ice bath, or it could be a cold shower, whatever that cold exposure may be, mentally manage your breath to slow it down. That is the work. That is the training. You gotta control your breath. You're gonna gasp, but then you can practice the box breath, which I introduced in the last module. In the Navy SEALs, they give this box breath as a way for them to control their physical and mental arousal. So when you face challenges, you're gonna be aroused mentally, physically to fight or flight, or fight or run away. But you can control your breath and gather your mind to make good quality decisions under fire, under pressure. So in this case, when you do the ice exposure or cold exposure, consciously manage your breath to gain control of your body and mind. Find that stillness. And then that is the training, right? Every time, that's how you can master your mind. Practice the warrior breath. The one I want to introduce to you is a different breath to the box breath. It's slightly different. It's a variation of a traditional Tibetan breathing technique called the fire breath or tumo. And it's very similar to Wim Hof, but I have my own slight nuance. But you'll see the similarity. You're going to breathe in through the nose, into the belly, and you're going to visualize the fanning of flame in your belly, right? Like this fire with each breath. So breathing through the nose, and then visualize, that just, like fanning a flame in the tummy. Every breath you're going to fan it even more. It's going to get bigger in your tummy. Breathe all the way out. Okay, breathe in and breathe out. Okay, breathe in and breathe out. You're going to do that 10 times. Breathe in, breathe out. On the 10th breath, you're going to breathe all the way out and hold for 10 seconds. Okay, don't hold any longer, just 10 seconds. This is not Wim Hof. This is different. I'm consciously making it only 10 because this, when you do hyperventilate for too long, you have the risk of passing out. And that is not safe in cold water. So do not do the Wim Hof. And Wim Hof says, when I was training with him, that's exactly what he told me. Don't do that. Don't do the Wim Hof breathing in cold water. He did it, but he's discovering, right? But he's telling people not to do it. Okay, so do this breath, 10 breath, just 10. Breathe in and breathe out all the way, and you're just going to hold for 10 seconds and take one deep breath into the belly and hold the breath for 10 seconds and visualizing that flame just spreading and warming your body up. That flame it's a mental, physical training exercise as you're in the cold water. And this is an alternative way to train your mind because it emphasizes a lot more on visualization. And it's incredible when you do this, you literally do heat up. Like if I'm not doing this in cold water, I literally start to sweat, right? I'm not sure if you've seen some Qigong or breathwork masters. They can you really feel that this warmth, like almost like radiating from the body. Tibetan the Tumo breath has a very similar version of this, but they breathe a little bit differently, and they literally sit in the snow, in an icy condition with a wet towel on their body, and as they do their breath, they literally dry the towels with the heat that's generating from their body, from their breath, and just mental visualization. So it's amazing what the mind can do when you train it right, and this is your training. Just 10 breath in, 10 breath on the 10th breath, breathe all the way out, and then you're gonna hold. Okay, let me illustrate to you what that is. So you breathe in, fan the flame, okay, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and every time you breathe in, it's like fire in your tummy. Fire in your tummy, fire in your tummy. It's just getting warmer, warmer. All right, 10th breath, all the way out. Hold, 10 seconds. Okay, all the way in. And it's almost like you just burst all the flame, and now it's all over your body. And hold your breath, this new breath in, 10 seconds, and let it out, relax. Right, that's a different thing to the box breath. You can do the box breath when you do the cold training, or you can do this version of the warrior breath work that I've just shared with you. Okay, so that gives you the format, the structure of what you need to do, but how can you actually do this in starting the cold therapy? Beginner, if you're just starting for the very first time, you can try this Nordic-inspired approach. You know, the heat and cold. They go to the sauna, they jump into the snow, they jump into the icy lake. So just take your regular hot shower. Your regular hot shower, hot. And then when you're ready, you don't want to feel like it, right? But this is the first training for you to be an overcomer. For you to take back control. Because you're in charge. You're going to be in charge. You're going to turn the warm, beautiful shower all the way to the cold. And depending on where you live, in which city, what the weather's like, it's going to be unpleasant. I think most places on the planet, if you just have hot shower, you turn all the way to the cold, it's going to be unpleasant. Do it for at least 30 seconds, right? Remember, you got to aim for 11 minutes over the week. So if you do 30 seconds per day times 7, that's probably not enough, right? For not quite 11 minutes, but it's okay if that's where you start. I'd rather you do this and not do the 11 minutes than you not doing it at all. It's about taking action. It's not for perfection. Taking massive, imperfect action is the secret to success. 30 seconds of cold, 100% cold water, and every single time you do it, try to increase the cold duration by 30 seconds and aim to get to 11 minutes. A week, 11 to 15 minutes. If you can get used to that, or if you live in the tropics where cold shower is probably the default, you need the next level up, right? You need additional cold to really trigger that gas reflex, and it needs to be mentally challenging. Take a cold water bath. So jump into cold water, just fill up with cold water. Now, if you need to, right, or if you're more advanced, you can lower the bath temperature with ice, and that's your typical ice bath. You can go all the way down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius. Take a dip 3 or 4 times a week. Remember, work your way up to 50 minutes a week. And that is enough for you to actually get all the benefit that I speak of doing this cold conditioning. It builds the mind, it builds the body. You're less likely to get sick because it activates your immune system. It trains your innate immune system, which is all the T cells, or which kills the viruses, anything foreign into the body on automatic basis, and that's the innate immune system. It actually increases the activation of your system by significant margin, and that's been tested on Wim Hof. It's by his students. So there's a whole host of benefits which I already talked about, but this is why you will do it. This is how you will do it. This is how you can get started. Of course, if you've got access to a cryotherapy machine where you've got this liquid nitrogen pumped over your body, fantastic. But if you don't, this is a fairly easy way to get started. All right, what is the difference between cold showers, cold plunge, ice bath, and cryotherapy? Look, do your research, right? Try different things. They're just different modes. What I find is cold water is significantly more challenging than cryotherapy. And I've done cold therapy. I've done cryo for several years, and I thought I was pretty good at it. Okay, it's not. But when I was trained, I was challenging myself. I thought, I'm going to try the cold water, the real ice bath, not that some fancy machine, cryotherapy. It just feels too modern. I want to try the traditional. I bought 80 kilograms of ice. I filled up with water, jumped in, and I was doing my warrior breath, and I was warm. I feel good. So I kept on going, and I kept on going. I melted 80 kilograms of ice. I melted them all, right? So there was water, and my kids were thinking, oh, what's that doing? And pouring cold water over me, thinking, that was funny. Daddy doing funny things with ice and it's freezing. What's he doing? And it was, before I know it, it was about 47 minutes. I was literally in icy water for 47 minutes. I thought, I'm bored. I want to get out. Start to climb out of the bath, and I realized my feet couldn't move. And that's when I panicked. Right? Okay. It turns out I gave myself hypothermia. Right? As much as warm as I thought I was going to kick ass, I'm good. I melted all the ice. But there's a limit, and this is where I'm sharing this with you. It's embarrassing for me, but you don't have to repeat my mistake. Cold water is a different game to cold air, which is cryotherapy. So that's a bit of difference. So cold water is a lot more intense and more. So be careful. Do not do what I do. Don't go more than 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Just be like you can progress, but be conscious of where your level of tolerance for cold is. Once you get cold adapted, that's a different game as well. So some of the cold water swimmers are cold adapted. They actually have quite a layer of fat on them, and it's not like, it's just, that's the way it is because that insulates them, right? So that is not a different goal. But I'm mentioning this is cold water, be careful, it's a different thing. Cold shower is not too bad. Cold water dip, ice bath, that's a different story. So be measured, be conscious of that. That's a different game altogether. But also do your research. Go and check out Wim Hof, Dave Asprey, Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman. These are all, they all have used cold before. Look at their YouTube channel, look at cold, and reach out if you want help with implementing the cold therapy. We have a 30-day boot camp where you and we're going to go, and I'm going to introduce you to cold therapy. We're going to do it together. So if you're interested, reach out and find out more. That is something that, if that's something of interest, you want to work with me and you want to try that cold shower with some guidance about how to mentally prepare for the shower, how to go in, and what to do day by day in a 30-day progressive way, reach out and I'll show you how you can get access to that. Taking action. What should you do today? I think you know where I'm going with this. Try it. Try it. Just go and try it. I mean, the Nordic-inspired cold shower, cold exposure therapy should be fairly accessible for most of us. And if you got any questions, ask, share in the community, reach out. I'm here to support you. All right, that's today's module about cold exposure therapy, which is a dedicated training, or we call resilience building, where you come in and you have to be prepared to do this. And you can see this is significantly different to just doing a standing pose, which you can do in the office, you can do in between meetings, you can do in a rush, and it's great reset, but it's a different level. You're taking this to the up the notch. When you do this well, everything goes easier, and you expand your capacity to contain more and take on greater responsibility in an elegant way, gracefully, where you get to struggle well, you get to struggle elegantly. All right, I hope you enjoyed this module. Any questions, reach out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. God bless. Take care.